Good afternoon, morning, or evening, everybody. This is one of our edible talks, a special edible talk that we're doing for our birthday. And we're very fortunate that Ifa Ingrid MacGregor, who is really known as Coach Iyauntie, is joining us from St. Martin. And it is St. Martin's Day in St. Martin. So I want to start out by wishing her happy St. Martin's Day.
Thank you.
But we're talking to Coach Iyauntie because we want to know a little bit more about her healing practice. She does have a diploma in naturopathy, and she also has a PhD in the same field in the healing arts from an Indian university. And she's been practicing for some time under her own consulting firm, which is wonderfully called Iwa, which we know in the Yoruba tradition means good and noble character. And she's going to explain that to us. So, Coach Iyauntie, what is the African philosophy behind your healing practice?
The African philosophy behind the practice is based on balancing character and balancing health. And we view it as a journey. Usually people consult practitioners of Western medicine to get a quick fix and to get a solution for the symptoms. However, our philosophy is to help to realign the body, the mind, and the spirit to each person balance, because the balance for every individual is not going to be the same. So we do so by respecting IFA principles. So there is always a consultation of IFA. So this is done in duet with my mentors. I'm searching my words because I'm just coming out of French celebration. Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm resetting my mind in English.
Yes. Well, you're lucky you speak two languages. This is good. Yeah, so you were saying about the IFA principles.
Exactly. So with my mentors, there is always an elder who is performing the IFA divinations so that we would have an insight on what's going on with the person, especially when people come for psychotherapy. So a lot of mental health, and we've had that a lot over the past 2 years, where people realize that they are not okay. And very often they are not able to really pinpoint how long they have been feeling like that. And they can put the words to what's really is the root of their problem. So the divination part is going to give us a guidance. And we do not use it for as a way to convince people to get into a spiritual practice. It's really to get an insight of what's going on in terms of the person alignment, what are, the energetic imbalance in the mind or in the body. Now, once we have that, we can start having a conversation with the clients. And because I am trained in other system of healing as well, this is when we step over to Ayurveda during the discussion, so that we could evaluate what's the bioenergetic balance of the individual. And so this way we would have an insight of plants according to IFA that we can use, protocols that we should have with this person, but also we would have recommendation on from those IFA herbs. We would look about the person energetic balance to know whether this one is suited for their body type particularly. So it brings us to we start with a wide variety of herbs we could use, and with those two analysis, it really narrow it down to just a few. And so either we perform therapy if the person is on island, or else we suggest we give recommendation, lifestyle recommendation, or we prepare the herbs. It depends. And we have the coaching program as well. So therefore we meet regularly online with the clients to accompany them until they feel better.
Wow, thank you for that very comprehensive answer. I am curious, I didn't give you this in our pre-agreed questions, but the herbs, are the herbs all grown where you are in St. Martin, or do you have to get these herbs from Africa or India or elsewhere?
Okay, so what it is that we always start with what we have around us. And I'm fortunate to work with other therapists, healers, or herbalists in other Caribbean islands. So whatever I cannot source in large numbers here in St. Martin, I would get it from other islands like Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique. And also, I work with people who are in Africa and in India, as well as California. So whatever I cannot find right away on hand at the island, or sometimes we can find it in this particular season, I always have a way to get it from somewhere else.
Uh-huh. Is there an encyclopedia of these herbs, or where is all of this knowledge stored?
A lot of it is stored here, but um, also when we work with others, we were all trained differently. Some were trained just by tradition, oral tradition. They were trained by, I don't know, somebody who probably had the knowledge. Some of us went through academic training. When you go for academic training, it's difficult because the elders don't really acknowledge you as, having the knowledge. But when you are humble enough, and I'm fortunate to be someone who's very humble, you just start back from scratch and you relearn with them and their way of doing things. And Ifa would recommend herbs. Every time we comes up with a different Odu pattern, we would have herbs attached to what's being given and what's being taught in the tradition. And with Ayurveda, with the different the different references that we use, we would also have recommendation of herbs. So my work with others is to always document everything we do. We do have the project to train within the next few months or years. And so therefore, absolutely everything is documented so that others want to have the extensive research to go through. Yes.
Very good. So I had asked you to describe the kinds of clients that you had, but I think I'd like to move to the question about trust. Because obviously, when you put your health in someone's hands, you mentioned that many of your clients and patients don't trust Western medicine. Do you think you might give us some insight into why they don't trust?
Okay, for example, for those islands like ours, because we are not independent, so we are still under the system where we are attached to mother country per se. In our social lives, political organization, there's always a system of repression and where people feel like they are not valued for being indigenous. And so therefore, when it comes to education or healing, very often they would like to fall back onto something more traditional, and they would like to fall back onto someone that they can trust. And so my nickname Iyauntie was given by a trusted friend, and it is because people see me as either mom or auntie. And so people trust the mom or the auntie a whole lot better than maybe a doctor who traveled from abroad and would just write a prescription, and regardless of whatever side effect they may have. So people would come a lot to try an herbal solution first before they would use. And I think that COVID also impacted the fact that for us, especially on the front side, more than on the dot side, we had a lot of pressure to be vaccinated, and there were a lot of demonstration against it. It became very violent. And so because of the government attempt to really force people to be vaccinated against their will, many people now don't trust Western medicine, and it is the desire to rediscover what it is we have in stock in terms of traditional solutions.
Yes, absolutely. I know the recovery is so important, and the work that people like you do to try to get back to the knowledge that obviously is so very ancient and has been disrupted by many forces. I want to close by asking you about the general increase in anxiety in all of our societies. I mean, the world is pretty chaotic, but what I found reading the Journal of the American Medical Association, but about a global study, is that 1 in 4 young adults have clinically elevated levels of depression, and 1 in 5 clinically elevated levels of anxiety. And this is double the pre-pandemic figures. So I wanted to think again about what you said earlier, that many people are unable to express the root of their imbalance or their anxiety. And how do you approach, in particular, young people when they seem to be suffering these kinds of symptoms?
Because we use a traditional approach, usually I would not work with children under the age of 16 and with the parents' approval, because it is important for the parents to trust the process. Still, when it comes to traditional healing, there is always the stigma that we're doing witchcraft. And so it's very important that people, trust their practitioner. And I work with children from age 16 and then adults, but not any younger. So we give them a chance to speak. Sometime at that age, or even adults, they are not the one to come to us directly. It would be a loved one who would complain and say, we need help. We do not know how to approach the person does not realize that they're going down. And so we would start with the family members first. And whenever the patient would start to realize the progress in their health, whether their mental health, whether they start to feel better and they feel like they can open up and speak, then they come to me. And I would say that pretty much many of the people who contact me become surprised now to have many people contacting me from France, but it is usually because they are referred by somebody else who went through the experience. And so they come and they trust because someone else told them that they had an experience with us.
Very, very interesting. Well, I'd really like to thank you a lot. I don't know if there's anything else you would like to say about your practice to the general audience of the Green Market, who are people who tend to be interested in both nutrition and healthy eating and trying to seek their own well-being. So I don't know if you have some final words from your tradition.
Well, what I would say is that everybody should really strive to live in harmony with the environment around them. So eating what's grown close to you, it's always very important to be in good physical health, but especially mental health, because it's all a matter of energetic balance, whether inside of your body or out of your body. So only eating imported food, it's not necessarily good to be aligned with what's happening around you. So eating close to home is definitely a recommendation, and to align one's lifestyle with the cycles of nature is wonderful. That's something I do a lot with women, especially we are regulated by the cycle of nature as well when it comes to the menstrual cycle. And it really helps people to live at a slower pace, not the pace that, we try to get up, we go to work, and we just like go into a cycle and pretty much we don't see life pass by when we work like that. But when we take the time to align with what's going on around in nature and the cycles around us, we have greater inner peace and hence better health.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Coach Iyauntie. I want to really thank you for taking time out of your celebrations today and for sharing this information with us. We're very grateful.
My pleasure.